Have you ever wondered why your life is shifting? Why doors you once walked through are closing? Or why God seems to be rewriting the script of your journey? My friend, this is not coincidence, not punishment, and not abandonment. This is preparation. God is reshaping your life to prepare you for a breakthrough you have not yet seen, but one that heaven has already declared over you. Sometimes God disrupts the comfortable to construct the miraculous. He moves what you thought was permanent. He removes what you thought you needed, and He allows seasons of confusion, silence, and waiting so that He can strengthen the foundation of your character before He elevates the position of your life. Every great work of God begins with a season of reworking. And if life feels uncertain right now, you are not being undone, you are being rebuilt. Think of a potter working with clay. Before the vessel is formed, the clay must first be pressed, stretched, rolled, and reshaped. The potter never stops touching what he intends to strengthen. And the pressure you feel today is not proof that God has left you. It is proof that His hands are still on you. Some of you are walking through situations where your old plans no longer work. Dreams you thought would bring fulfillment fell apart. People you depended on walked away. Opportunities dried up. And the enemy whispers, "You have failed." But God is saying, "I am shifting the ground beneath you because I am about to build you higher than you have ever gone before." A breakthrough is not born in the light. It is conceived in the dark. Just like a seed buried beneath soil, unseen, pushed down and covered, yet inside it is awakening, expanding, and preparing to break through the surface in due season. God does His greatest work in hidden places. He develops you in silence so He can reveal you in purpose. There was once a man who prayed desperately for God to change his situation. His financial security had fallen apart, his business closed, and his confidence was shattered. For months he felt forgotten. Then one day while praying, he felt God speak to his heart. "I did not remove what you lost to hurt you. I removed what you built on the wrong foundation so I could build something stronger." And friends, that man discovered that the loss that broke him was the moment God began rebuilding him. The setback was the launching pad of the comeback. God never breaks you to destroy you. He breaks what is weak to strengthen what is eternal. He tears down what is temporary so He can install what is indestructible. You are not going backwards. You are being repositioned. And sometimes repositioning looks like confusion before it looks like clarity. Maybe you've prayed and heaven feels silent. Maybe you're walking through a chapter that makes no sense. Maybe you want to believe God is still with you, but you can't see evidence of His plan. Remember this: the teacher is always silent during the test. Silence does not mean absence. Silence means God is working on something that does not require your participation yet. While you are waiting, God is aligning. While you are praying, God is preparing. While you are worshiping in uncertainty, God is designing the blessing that will make sense of your confusion. There are breakthroughs so big that if God gave them to you before you were ready, they would crush you instead of bless you. So instead, He develops you. He strengthens you. He equips you. He changes the way you respond, the way you pray, the way you trust, the way you see yourself. He aligns your character with your calling before He opens the door to the calling itself. Some of you have been trying to go back to a life God has already moved you beyond. You're longing for the old relationships, the old patterns, the old comfort zones. But God is saying, stop trying to resurrect what I have called you out of, because He cannot reveal the future while you are still holding on to the past. In Scripture, when God parted the Red Sea, He first led the people to a place that made no sense, a dead end. But the dead end was the birthplace of the miracle, and the situation that looked like disaster became the passage into destiny. And so it is with you. God has not led you into a wall. He has led you to the edge of a miracle. What looks impossible to you is already finished in His plan. The wall in front of you is not where your story ends. It is where God is about to show His power. You see, breakthrough is rarely loud in the beginning. It starts with small shifts, a new thought, a new hunger, a new perspective, a new discipline, a new faith rising inside of you. God begins changing you before He changes your circumstances. Because the greatest breakthrough is not what you receive, it is who you become. And make no mistake, the enemy sees what God is doing. That is why the warfare has increased. That is why the pressure has intensified. That is why the attacks have multiplied. But the enemy does not fight what is losing. He fights what is rising. If you feel surrounded, it means hell sees something growing in you that heaven is about to release through you. The battle is a sign of the blessing. The fight is a sign of the future. The storm is a sign of the shift. You are not being defeated, you are being delivered. One day, when God finishes what He is doing behind the scenes, the very thing that wounded you will become the testimony that strengthens others. The chapter that confused you will become the moment that defines your faith. Your tears will become seeds of harvest. Your waiting will become a doorway to destiny. Oh, and you will look back and say, God was not punishing me. He was preparing me. So today, stand firm. Do not quit. Do not retreat. Do not let the darkness convince you the dawn isn't coming. God has not brought you this far to leave you halfway. He is the author, and He is still writing. He is the potter, and He is still shaping. He is the shepherd, and He is still leading. There is a breakthrough with your name on it. There is a door God is about to open. There is a blessing already scheduled. There is a testimony already forming. And when it comes, the wait will make sense. The pain will look small, and the lessons will prove priceless. God is reshaping your life, not to take something from you, but to position you for something greater than you can imagine. Hold on. Stay faithful. The breakthrough is already on its way. God is reshaping your life not to break you, to prepare you for a greater breakthrough. And many people struggle to recognize this truth in the middle of their difficulties. When life becomes uncomfortable, when situations begin to shift, when the familiar becomes uncertain, our first instinct is often to assume something has gone wrong. We think we have failed, that our prayers have not been heard, or that God has abandoned us. But in reality, these seasons of pressure, transition, and discomfort can be the clearest evidence that God is at work, refining us, strengthening us, and preparing us for something we are not yet ready to receive. God does not allow breaking just for the sake of breaking. He allows shaking so that weak foundations fall apart and strong foundations can be built. He allows stretching so that your faith expands to the measure required to hold the blessing He has planned. He allows removal not to leave you with less, but to clear space for what has the power to reshape your future. Just like a craftsman works on raw material, God works on our character, our belief systems, our internal limitations, and our spiritual maturity before He elevates us. If God were to open certain doors too early, they might crush us rather than bless us. Blessings require stability. Influence requires character. Advancement requires responsibility. So God prepares His children before He promotes them. This preparation often comes disguised as difficulty. When relationships end, plans collapse, or opportunities close, we rarely realize that God might be removing what could not go with us into the next chapter. He is not taking something away, He is making room. He is not punishing, He is pruning. A gardener trims branches not to reduce the tree, but to make it bear more fruit. The pruning process looks harsh, yet it produces abundance. In the same way, God may be cutting away distractions, unhealthy environments, negative influences, or patterns of thinking that limit you. The process hurts because you were attached. But God sees what you cannot. He knows where your path is leading, and He is shaping your future long before you step into it. Many people ask God for a breakthrough without realizing that breakthrough requires transformation. It requires growth. It requires a version of you that may not yet exist. When God begins reforming your life, it often starts inside of you before anything changes outside. He changes your mindset, your expectations, your resilience, your humility, your priorities, your vision, and your strength. He prepares you to carry what you once only prayed for. If you look back at your life, you may see that the greatest growth happened in seasons of difficulty. Comfort rarely produces transformation. Ease rarely sharpens character. But when God allows pressure, a deeper version of you emerges. Stronger faith, deeper trust, unwavering dependence on God, better wisdom, and a heart rooted not in circumstances, but in conviction. Many people mistake divine preparation for divine abandonment. They think delays are denials and silence means rejection. But in truth, while you are waiting, God is working. While you are uncertain, God is making things certain. While you are questioning, God is aligning things for the appointed moment. Sometimes God reshapes your surroundings to force you into growth. He closes doors you never would have closed because He knows you would have stayed too small, too limited, or too comfortable. You might have settled in a place far beneath the blessing He has planned. So God disrupts what you would have accepted to give you what He has destined. What feels like loss today may later be revealed as protection, redirection, or preparation. There are moments when God separates you from people because your calling would have been hindered by their presence. He moves people out of your journey who cannot grow with you, who do not support your next season, or who would limit what God is building in you. It can feel painful, but God sees the consequences you cannot. Elevation changes your environment before it changes your experience. Destiny requires separation before manifestation. God shapes us through waiting as well. Waiting teaches patience, focus, perseverance, faith, and obedience. Waiting strips away the illusion of control and forces us to rely on God instead of our own strength. Waiting prepares the heart to receive with gratitude rather than entitlement. When the breakthrough comes after waiting, it is depth, meaning, and testimony behind it. God is reshaping you by refining your character, stretching your faith, and equipping you to step into the greater breakthrough He has already prepared. The pressure you feel today is evidence that God's hands are still molding your destiny. And this truth can transform the way you interpret the challenges and discomforts in your life. When life applies pressure, most people assume something is wrong. They think God is angry, distant, or silent. They believe the struggles are signs of failure or rejection. Yet in many cases, the pressure is not punishment, but shaping, not rejection, but refinement, not abandonment, but preparation. God is not finished with you, and the weight you feel is not a sign He has let go, but a sign He is holding you more tightly than ever. The potter never pressures clay He has abandoned. He presses what He intends to shape. The sculptor chisels what he believes has value. The refiner heats only what he believes is worth purifying. In every case, pressure is applied because something greater is being formed. The pressure you face may come in the form of emotional stress, closed doors, unexpected changes, responsibilities that stretch your strength, loss that confuses the heart, or waiting that tests your patience. And while each of these can feel overwhelming, they are often signals that God is taking you beyond who you were into, who you are meant to become. Growth rarely happens in comfort. Faith rarely strengthens without resistance. Diamond is revealed only under extreme pressure. Gold is purified only by fire. And the strongest steel is formed only through intense heat. Likewise, the purpose God has placed in you emerges most powerfully in seasons when life pushes you to lean on Him rather than yourself. Many people pray for a greater destiny without realizing that greater destiny requires greater capacity. If God answered certain prayers too early, the blessing might become a burden because the character, discipline, humility, or strength needed to carry it has not yet been developed. So instead of immediately giving the breakthrough, God prepares the vessel. He stretches your patience so you understand endurance. He deepens your trust so you can stand in storms without breaking. He sharpens your discernment so you recognize divine opportunities and avoid traps. He humbles you so elevation does not destroy you. Every pressure has a purpose. Sometimes God applies pressure to break off what can't go with you into the next season. Old habits, old beliefs, old emotional wounds, old limitations, old relationships, or old assumptions can prevent you from stepping into the fullness of what God intends. So he shakes what is unstable, exposes what is weak, and brings to the surface what needs to be dealt with. It may feel like things are falling apart, but they may actually be falling into alignment. What feels like loss may be God removing what would have damaged the future. What feels like frustration may be God forcing you to grow beyond comfort. What feels like unanswered prayer may be God answering in a deeper way than you expected. Pressure also reveals identity. When life is easy, you don't always know what you carry. You don't always recognize your strength, your calling, or your relationship with God. But when pressure comes, faith that was invisible becomes visible. Strength you didn't know you had emerges. Trust becomes more than words. Worship becomes more than routine. You discover that you can survive seasons you once feared, that you can walk through nights you once thought would break you, and that you can trust God when nothing looks certain. The pressure doesn't just change your situation, it changes you. And while the enemy wants you to believe the pressure means God has left you, the truth is often the opposite. Pressure can be a sign that heaven is investing in you. It means God has chosen to put His hands on your life, believing there is more in you than what you are currently living. He sees potential you haven't recognized yet. He sees purpose unfolding in ways you cannot yet understand. He sees the future version of you standing stronger, wiser, more refined, and more aligned with His calling. And to get you there, He presses where growth is needed, molds where flexibility is required, and reshapes where change is necessary. In the end, everything you are walking through right now is part of a much bigger story than what your eyes can see. God is not finished with you, and He never brings someone this far only to abandon them halfway. The shifting, the stretching, the uncertainty, the prayers that seem unanswered, the nights that feel long, the pressure that seems unbearable, none of it is wasted. All of it is forming the very foundation that will hold the breakthrough He has prepared for your life. There are moments when the road ahead looks unclear, when the silence feels heavy, and when your faith is tested in ways you never expected. But even in those moments, God is closer than you realize, working in details you cannot see, and preparing outcomes you have not yet imagined. When God reshapes your life, it doesn't always feel divine in the moment. Sometimes it feels like loss, confusion, or even failure. It may feel like things you relied on have been removed without warning, like doors have closed without explanation, or like plans that once made sense now feel out of reach. But God's reshaping is never random. He sees the chapters ahead, the people you will impact, the places He is calling you to stand, and the strength you will need to sustain the blessing. So He prepares you not lightly, not loosely, but intentionally, because destiny requires readiness, and breakthrough requires a version of you that has been tested, refined, and established in faith. There will be seasons when the only thing keeping you going is a quiet conviction that God has not brought you to this point to leave you empty. That conviction is not weakness. It is the seed of endurance, the beginning of spiritual maturity, and the birthplace of transformation. Every person God has ever used mightily has walked through moments when heaven felt silent and life felt heavy, yet those moments became the very soil from which calling, faith, and destiny grew. What you are facing is not proof that you are forgotten. It is proof that you are still in process. Clay never feels comfortable when the potter is shaping it, but it is the shaping that gives it purpose. One day you will look back and realize that the season that's stretched you was the season that prepared you. The prayers that took time to be answered developed a deeper relationship with God. The pressure that threatened to break you actually revealed a strength you didn't know you had. The losses that hurt you shaped your vision, your compassion, and your ability to lead. The waiting taught you to trust God more than your own understanding. And the nights you cried taught you that God sustains even when life can't explain. Your breakthrough is not just something God will place in your hands. It is something He is building in your heart. And when the moment comes, and it will, you will not just receive a blessing. You will step into it as someone changed, strengthened, wiser, and ready for the life God designed from the beginning.